You've got a lot of different pens and a lot of different inks, man. So there's so many different ways that we can take that. First couple that I wrote in my notes is number one, you just sold an online education business for multi eight figures. What goes into making a decision like that as opposed to just hiring a CEO and then having a different person manage the day to day and then maintain the operations? And then also, when it comes to whoever you sold it to, I'm sure it was the strategic buyer, but how do you package an online education platform to actually go to market?
Yeah, step one was building the damn thing and getting it to scale. And so we had really great profit margins. We built a really great brand, million person email list, tons of great products and services. We had a machine. We built the machine. And so I knew it would sell. It was a very sellable business, but it took the right type of buyer. So the buyer that bought us was in our space, had a little bit bigger of a platform than us, massive organic reach. There was a ton of strategic alignment between the two of us. We were operationally phenomenal. And as direct response marketers, like I started off and I said, my business and my brands online have done hundreds of millions of dollars. It's very difficult to sell $100 million worth of online education. And so we had cracked that code and people wanted to know what that code was. And first off, we had 4 or 5 buyers. This one was the best. How you sell it is really, for me, just making sure that my team was well taken care of. I knew that I would be good with the profit and the payout that I was going to get, but I wanted to make sure that the buyer assimilated my entire team and gave them a path to staying on board and scaling this thing even further. It was really a 1 + 1 = 11 decision for me. I knew that this particular buyer would scale us to $50-60 million a year pretty quickly from where we were. And it just made sense. Now, it was part cash, part terms deal. So it's never something where you just roll in and someone's like, here's $25 million in cash. It doesn't work.
Have fun.
Yeah, I wish it did, but it didn't. We got some cash up front. I took terms on the back end. It was a really great terms deal for them. And I think that's the part, for my real estate business, I always would roll into talking with the seller. And what made me deadly, and I would always get deals over my competitors, is I had multiple, it was like chess for me. I had multiple ways to structure that deal. I never just came in with one tool. It's not like I just made a cash offer. I was doing cash. I was doing terms. I was doing partnerships. I was doing all these creative things to try to figure out what's the best fit for both of us so it's a win. Same thing happened here. I just found, I knew what their needs were. I found out how to solve them, and we created that alignment.
I love that. But you also said something that's very important that I don't want to gloss over, and I want to let you riff on, which is how long you've been doing this? 20 years?
As an entrepreneur, since I was selling candy and eventually selling drugs.
Yeah.
That's pretty entrepreneurial, right? Selling
Attaboy.
Candy out of your backpack. I think that's entrepreneurial. But officially, second I got out of the Navy at 22 years old, I started a company. I'm 45 now.
Yeah.
23 years.
So you've been at this for a while. So some people may be trying to compare their level 1 with your level 37. You know what I mean? And a huge thing that you said is you didn't create all these companies all at once. You didn't scale all these companies all at once. And people see millionaires have 7 streams of income. And they're like, oh, okay, cool. How many people do you know? I know a lot. Oh, I've got 5 laundromats, 4 commercial buildings. I'm doing like short-term rentals over here, and I've got a bookkeeping business and a virtual assistant company over here. And none of them are stabilized. They're all in the active management stage. So Can you talk about how you did it, about the importance of starting with your one thing, getting it stabilized, and then branching off into ancillary businesses? Because I think so many people miss the mark there.
Yeah. So one of the things I took from the military is systems and processes, right? Everything has an SOP. You're held accountable for every action to the hour. And so when I first got in the real estate business, I realized very quickly that most real estate people were very disorganized. They were winging it all over the place. And obviously we know winging is not a strategy. So I was like, God, I got to systematize this. And so every Saturday I did something called System Saturday, where I challenged myself to create one SOP around a process within my investing business. I never wanted to, the second I flipped my first house, I was in love. I never wanted to do anything else with my life. I thought if I can be the world's greatest creative real estate investor and go from residential eventually to commercial and build this massive real estate portfolio, I'd be happy as can be. I'd float into work every single day. I'm the weird guy that dreams about real estate deals. Like I love the art of deal making and the architecture of real estate. So I leaned in on that. And for 10 years, I never picked up my head. I just did real estate. And I got really freaking deadly at it to the point where everybody in town knew my name. They all, I went from struggling to get deals to everybody bringing me deals, from nobody wanting to take my call to everybody trying to get my attention. And along that path, I was building a brand. I didn't know I was building a brand, but I was building a brand because I would call myself the clever investor. And it just, every single time I ever opened my mouth, hey, Cody Sperber, the clever investor here. And it just started connecting me with this concept of being the clever investor. And if you meet somebody at a networking event and they're like, hi, I'm John. You're like, cool. I know 4,000 Johns. I'm going to forget you in 3 seconds. But if, let's just say, I'm Big Steve from Texas. And every time, Big Steve from Texas, it's a hook, right? It's different. And so you start to remember, I don't remember John, but I remember Big Steve from Texas. I remember Cody Sperber, the clever investor. And so eventually I got really good at the real estate thing and I started making pretty significant money, but it was all earned income. I wasn't owning real estate. I was flipping real estate and I was making millions of dollars doing it. And along that journey, I started getting hit with heavy tax bills, like $500,000, $1.5 million, $2 million. I was like, Jesus, I can't make more money and pay all these taxes and go fast. Like every time I would get a little bit ahead and like unlock the next level, I would get knocked back with taxes. And my mentor kept saying to me, Cody, you can't earn your way to wealth and you can't save your way to wealth because of taxes and inflation. You got to master the tax game. And every deal my mentor did was inside his self-directed Roth. He wouldn't touch real estate if it wasn't in a tax-free environment. But I hated the paperwork around it. And I didn't really like that concept of having some limitations of what you can do and how fast you can move. Because when you're within a self-directed Roth, there are rules. And if you violate those rules, all those tax-free monies that you earn, they can unwind it if you get audited and come back. And I was too gangster with my transactions. I was real fast and my paperwork was loose. And so I was all about speed and just making money. But I kept my head down, and every Saturday I worked on my systems. Eventually, I built this insane machine, and I started lateraling over. And I asked myself a very important question that every single successful entrepreneur should ask themselves. Who else is making money on my transactions? I'm the rainmaker over here. Who else is getting paid on my energy? The title company is, let's go buy a title company. The lending company is, let's start a lending operation. There's transaction coordination and people doing paper. Let's start that. Like, why am I paying anybody? Let's verticalize like Apple. And so that's how I started scaling outside of just my real estate business, is I started buying or starting businesses in the same vertical, but that were supporting ancillary businesses. So that was phase one. While I was building a brand, then social media came out, and all of a sudden I started getting noticed outside of my local market. And people would come to me because I was the first social media influencer in the real estate space to break 1 million followers. I was the first one to get the organic blue check mark back in 2016, 2017. Nobody knew who I was. They were like, why do you are you a celebrity? Like, I don't get it. Why do you have this? And nobody can understand that the same way I marketed my real estate business was the same way I looked at social media platforms. I just thought, this is a hackable platform. Instagram is hackable. It's so easy to scale an Instagram page. Once I figured it out, I was like, oh, this is just another marketing channel for me, and I'm going to outmaneuver everybody. And so I was scaling that brand, the Clever Investor brand, on Instagram, and I needed a way to monetize it. And at the same time, everybody was coming to me saying, Cody, you're the best I've ever seen. You have the best systems, the best processes, the best software. And they were throwing money at me. Will you mentor me? Will you coach me? And at first I was like, I had this chip on my shoulder. I was like, I'm a real estate investor. Like, those who don't teach. I don't want to teach. I want to do real estate. But it was one guy literally came to my office, put $10,000 cash on my desk and said, I want to shadow you for a day. And I looked at him and I'm like, you're going to pay me 10 grand for one day? He's like, if you give me your systems and process and blueprint, I'll pay you 10 grand. Okay, give me the money. Next thing, my first coaching client. We shadowed me for a day, went out there, took my system, ran with it. A couple weeks later, I get another call. Hey, you coach so-and-so, can I do the same thing? And I'm like, bring me 10 grand. Let's go. Next thing, I had all these 10 grand offers coming in, and I was like, oh shit, I'm going to start like an education bit. I'm going to start documenting every single thing that I'm doing and take all my stuff and actually put it into a course. Now, back then, 2009, there wasn't courses. Like
Correct.
nobody was selling courses online. Like it was old school gurus doing infomercials and shit. So I was like, I'm going to take, where are the young people at? The young people are going online. I'm going to take all of this training, organize it, and put it in a course and put it online and see if it sells. No idea it was going to take off. I started Clever Investor, the education business, and it just went like this. First year did like 600-700 grand in sales. Next year did 3 million in sales. Next year did 7 million in sales. Next year did 12 million in sales. Next year did $20 million in sales. And it just was like, boom. And I built the path. All the gurus that you see right now, they looked at my blueprint and they were like, oh, that's how you do it. That's how you build a brand on social media. That's how you sell courses. That's how you do webinars. That's how you write VSLs. That's how you build an email list. And I was like the guy who went out there and figured it all out. And now, just to finally shut up, now people come to me because I'm on the other side of the equation. I'm like the old guy in the space. And a lot of my students have now gone off to be very successful real estate investors, then eventually realized, hey, I can make money in real estate and I can make money in education. They became gurus. And now I'm actually on the backside coaching them silently. And these are some of the biggest names in our space. I'm the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain, making sure that they can scale even faster than I did. And you're seeing it. Like the impact in the space is happening with these big individuals because I just gave them the blueprint once again, and they pay me a lot of money to show them how to actually scale an online business.